Hi, welcome to the Dave Palmer Show. And with me in this episode, I have the founder and CEO of Happy Self-Publishing. She's a best-selling author, book publisher, TEDx speaker, and an author success coach who loves to share her story and inspire others. Jyotsna Ramachandran, welcome to the Dave Palmer Show.
Thank you so much, Dave, for having me on your show.
Oh, it's a great pleasure having you as well. So, I've mentioned I'm was a self-published author. I still am actually, because the book's still live and kicking. But it was in 2014. Of course, this podcast is taken over. But of course, the book's good. It gives you credibility, doesn't it, for your other work?
Absolutely. I can actually divide my life into before my book and after my book,
Yeah.
because all the successes that I've had, which I can talk about proudly, happened after my book's published.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow. Well, tell us about that. How does how can an author build a business around their book?
There are two types of authors, I would say, Dave.
Yeah.
One who just write for the pleasure of writing. They
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
no agenda behind the book.
Right.
Probably they have a story to share, like a novel to write. So that's one kind of author. And if the
Yeah.
book does well, then their primary source of income would be the sales of the book and the
Right.
royalty
Yeah.
that they make out of that. And
Yeah.
there is this other type of author who either already has an existing business or is planning to start a business related to the book, and therefore they look at the book as a great way to build their brand, to market whatever they want to sell, either a product or a service, and
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
they want to attract the right kind of clients through the book by using the book as a lead magnet. So
Yeah.
I primarily cater to the second type of authors who have a strategy behind the book. So,
Yeah.
my suggestion to authors is, if you're planning to write a book that's based on your business, then be very clear about it and create an author funnel so that it can take your readers from your book to your business.
Yeah, wow. Well, I mean, I think when I first wrote my book, I was looking motivational speaking was huge. Well, it's huge and long before that, but 2014, the plan was when I retired, yeah, do a bit of traveling, do some speaking. So I did a little bit with some book fairs, but nothing major. Just to promote the book. But like I say, this podcast took over, and I was doing some coaching. I got qualified as a life coach, but I was doing some fitness coaching as that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So coaching was my thing as well. Still is really, but. Yeah, the podcast seems to have taken over. How would I build it around what I'm doing in terms of the book? I mean, the lead magnet for me would be a free PDF copy, but they can buy the hard copy, sorry, the paperback on Amazon.
Yes, exactly. So, what's the topic of your book, Dave?
It's called Five, because I used to be a firefighter, so it's called Firefight from Within: How to Master the Tools of Life even during tough times. Check it out on Amazon. I'm just
Right.
kidding. Yeah. So that's the
Yeah, for
title.
somebody like yeah, who's writing a book on a topic that is more like self-help, personal development,
That's right. Yeah.
then my first suggestion to authors is to give away something for free inside the book, whether it's the ebook or the paperback or the hardcover. A lot of times your readers would read the book and then they would have a good feeling after reading it and they will forget about the book later. So it's important that you capture the leads of your readers. So give away like a checklist or a resource guide or an action guide or something that can be valuable. It could even be a self-assessment, like what's your firefighter score or something like that, which you can
Yeah,
ask
that's true.
people
Yeah.
to do as a quiz.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's more
yeah,
overcoming
give that as
adversity,
for free so you
resiliency.
can collect the leads.
Yeah. So it's more resiliency, overcoming adversity. That's what the story is. But self-help in general as well. So I suppose I could do a kind of thing around resiliency. What's your score around that? Give that free of charge, couldn't I? So, but
Exactly.
yeah, for the listeners,
Absolutely.
yeah,
But once you
exactly.
get there, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to come to the next question, but go on.
Yeah,
Say
what I
once you
was
get.
saying was once, yeah, go ahead, Dave.
All right. No, I was going to say that. Well, what are some daily habits authors should have to finish their manuscript?
Yeah, unless you finish the manuscript, you can't even think of publishing and marketing the book. So I think one of the most important daily habit an author should have, and this is a daily habit, not a weekly one, is to have a fixed time to write and schedule it on your calendar and manage your life so that you don't get disturbed during that 1 hour of your precious writing time. That's, I think, a very, very important habit. And write from the same sacred spot every single day, which is clutter free, where you will not get distracted. That's one very important habit. The other thing that I recommend authors to do is to get clarity on why are they writing the book, who is it for, and how is it going to change their lives, and by when are you going to publish the book. Write all of these as statements on a piece of paper, laminate it or frame it, and I call that your author pledge, and read that out every day before you actually start writing, so that it can put you in the right state of mind when you're writing the book. And finally, the third habit that I would recommend authors is to have a track sheet or a whiteboard like this on the wall, where you can track your progress on a daily basis. Mention the date, how many words have you written, what's your goal in terms of the total word count, so you can actually measure your progress. These are some of the daily habits that can really be useful to stay focused and keep writing.
Yeah, well. I mean, I luckily I had help with mine because before podcasting, I just had a website and with a blog on it. And I'm not really a great blogger, but I just sort of, with the help of some other means, blogged about certain stories that eventually turned into the book. Some of the chapters of the book, so that helped.
Mhm.
I don't blog anymore, as I say, I podcast now, but that's another good method, is it? Instead of doing a manuscript, you could,
Absolutely. I
yeah,
think a lot of authors already have a lot of content out there in the form of their podcasts, blog. Sometimes you have your speeches or online courses. It's a good idea to repurpose some of them and use it inside your book. And people think, if I actually have it as blogs, why would somebody buy your book? They would still buy it because you're putting it in a very convenient manner. It's a more step by step process that they'll have to read when it's in the form of a book. So I think it's good that authors can actually go back and see if they have something that they can use, which is already there in their content kitty.
yeah. Well, you mentioned earlier what was the title of my book. Obviously, I came up with that, which is good because I had a co-author who was helping me write it. Actually, it's a bit like you being a book coach, but she co-authored it, so it sort of helps me a lot instead of a ghostwriter. But in terms of a topic for a book, how can an author choose a perfect topic for their first book?
Well, this is a very interesting question because a lot of times people get stuck because they're unable to find the right topic for their book because they have multiple topic ideas. So, this is what I usually tell authors. First, make a list of all the possible topic ideas. Do not discount them in your mind, but just make sure it's going to be helping your target reader. It has to either solve their problem or take them closer towards their goal. So, all your topic ideas should be based on your expertise, but it also has to solve your readers' problems or provide a solution for whatever they are struggling with. And once you have shortlisted a few topics, then I request people to use something called a topic selection matrix. Now, this has 4 parameters. Mention all the 3 or 4 topics that you have shortlisted, and then rank them on in terms of these 4 parameters. In fact, there are 5, I guess. I'll just walk you through them. The
Okay.
first one is based on your expertise, because as an author, you could be an expert in different subjects, but the topic where you have the maximum expertise gets the maximum score. The other topics would get a lesser score. So rank them based on your expertise. The second thing is rank them based on uniqueness, because you should be able to offer something different in your book as compared to all the other books out there. So see if one topic can be made more unique as compared to the other topics out there. The third one is the effort, because some books would just be there inside you naturally and it's easy for you to write, but for some books you may have to do a lot of research and it could take you 5 years to write. So go for a book that takes you the least effort. The fourth parameter is the profitability. Go into Amazon, look at how other books in that topic are doing, and the one that has a lesser Amazon score is doing better. So you can mark these topics based on profitability. And the fifth parameter is your alignment with the particular topic. Is it aligned with your vision? Is it aligned with what you really want to do in your life? What would you like to be known for? So based on these, just rank all the various topics you have, and the topic that gets the maximum score should be the topic of your next book.
Yeah, wow. Well, that's great. As I mentioned, I had someone who helped me co-author my book. So in fact, I put all the concepts, chose the name, title, all the concepts, all the chapters, and obviously some extracts from my blog, and then she padded it out with some of her chapters to support what mine is.
Right.
But it really, she helped me finish the manuscript. So I'm someone who doesn't consider myself an author because, I didn't really actually have, the skill to write it all out. I suppose I could if I use your service, your coaching services. But how can authors who are not writers like myself finish their manuscript?
Yeah, so I just want to correct you there, Dave. You are an author, but probably you're not a writer. There is a
Ah,
lot of
right. Yeah,
difference
yeah.
there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think an author's job is to just bring that message or knowledge to the book. If they enjoy
Right.
writing, they can write. But if they don't, they can make use of different kinds of people. One could be a book coach. So probably you are not bad at writing, but you get stuck every now and then. You lack motivation. In that case, a book coach can add tremendous value because they're going to be talking with you every single week, holding you accountable, critiquing your work. So that's one option. The second option is if you just cannot write, there are some people who are dyslexic, who are too busy to write, and probably they don't consider themselves to be a great writer and they don't want to write. In that case, hiring an angel writer can be really beneficial because an angel writer is just like a podcast host. They would ask you a lot of questions, they would interview you and collect all the information, listen back to what was recorded, and write the book for you. And they're very different from ghostwriters. They're not going to go and do the research for you. You are the author, you bring the expertise, but all you need to do is just talk. They will interview you and write it for you using the outline that you've co created with that writer. So, second option is angel writing. So, I think either go with a book coach or an angel writer. These two people can really help bring that manuscript from inside you onto your computer.
I think that's kind of that second one with the angel, right? That's similar to what I did in the end because
Yeah.
I bought all the topics, etc. And then she got right. But as I say, she actually came inside the book with a few chats to contribute, really. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
have dyslexia myself, so that's the other reason why. And I find myself busy these days. So, but even
In
with
fact,
just
my husband is dyslexic too, Dave. And
oh right,
while working on his book project is when I discovered this process of angel writing.
I see. Okay, well that's a really good concept. I really like that. Um, yeah, I mean, I see. I did look a little bit at your TED talk, your TEDx talk, which obviously is quite a huge thing to do. How can other authors like myself land their first TEDx talk?
Right. So I was waiting for many years that one day people would knock at my door and give me that opportunity. But clearly that was not happening. So I realized, let me go proactively and ask for opportunities. So that's how it happened. So I went to TED.com, made a list of all the upcoming events. About 10 of them were happening in and around my city back then. And I just reached out to all the organizers of these events. I wrote an email mainly giving three important ingredients in that email. The first one was telling them that this is the idea that I want to share on your stage. So I had to actually look at what was the theme of that particular event and customize my idea to suit that event. So that really helps because it makes the life of the organizer easy. The second thing that I told them is, I am a speaker. You can check out some of my videos on my YouTube channel. So that gave them proof that I could speak. And the third thing, which sealed the deal for me, was me telling them that, hey, by the way, I'm the author of this book and you can find it on Amazon. It has all these reviews. So it made them believe that I'm an expert and that's why I'm an author. So if you're an author, you have this added advantage because that can always work in your favor. But just being an author is not enough. Also, give them a great idea and let them know that you're a speaker. And just don't wait for people to come and give you the opportunity. Go reach out to people. So I wrote to 10 of them. Seven of them replied. Three of them accepted me on their stage. And finally, I went to two of the stages.
All right. Wow. Wow. Well, it's something I'd love to do, TEDx, but obviously now during the pandemic, it's probably not as widely spread these TEDx talks, but I'm sure it will come back. It will make a comeback soon. It's a big name now, TEDx, isn't it? Really. I mean, they actually have a podcast as well, which is quite successful.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. When I
Right.
self-published my book, well, a lot of people go through Amazon, but I went through one of these self-publishing vanity publishing houses, if you like, or independent author. So mine was linked to Hay House. There is some kind of good and bad things being said about it, but I mean, I'm quite happy. Obviously, you could spend the money on something else, but I just didn't have the time. How can authors self-publish their books without feeling overwhelmed? And what are the top mistakes authors make while trying to self-publish?
Yeah, this is such a good question because a lot of people do not get the opportunity to be published by a big five publishing house. So the next best opportunity is to just self-publish it. But one of the common mistakes people make is to try and do everything themselves. Just because it's self-publishing, it doesn't mean you need to do everything yourself. You can work with a team of experts. So you could either go find these professionals yourself, like a good cover designer, a good editor. The worst mistake you can do is just ask your aunt to edit it and your cousin to do the cover, unless they are professionals. You could be thinking in the short term that you're saving some money there, but your book is not going to look professional. So it's important to work with a team. So one option is to find professionals who are freelancers, or the other option could be working with publishing agencies like Happy Self Publishing. So that way you don't have to run around. You just have a project manager who will handle everything end to end for you. It saves a lot of time basically. So that's one common mistake I see a lot of self-published authors make. A couple of other mistakes. One is people end up writing a book just based on their life. I feel that if you're not a celebrity yet, then writing a memoir or an autobiographical style book may not really have a lot of buyers, because nobody wants to know your story unless they know who you are. So definitely talk about your life, but don't make it just about yourself. Just give it a twist and position the book in a way that people feel it's going to help them. So make it like a how-to book so that it serves the reader. And throughout the book, you can definitely share anecdotes from your life, but just don't make it your story. When people self-publish it, nobody tells them this, so they end up doing this mistake. And the third thing that I want to touch upon here is people also think that if I self-publish and upload it to Amazon, automatically people are going to find my book and read it. But it doesn't happen that way, because every day thousands of books are getting published. So it is the author's responsibility, whether you're self-publishing or going with a traditional publishing house, to market your book. And that doesn't stop just with the launch. You need to have an ongoing marketing plan so that your book keeps on selling month after month.
Yeah, yeah, and that was one of not challenges, but one of the key things is to keep sort of finding ways to promote it. I suppose for me, social
Right.
media and a little bit of email list, but I wasn't very good at the email list building. But social media certainly brought it in front of people. But what do you think of book fairs? I mean, I did do one book fair. I mean, I sold a few books, but I don't know if it might let the whole world know about it, apart from when I promoted it
Yeah,
on.
I think if it's a huge one, like there are these big ones happening in Germany and the US. So there are these 4 or 5 international book fairs. But what I've noticed, Dave, from my experience, is it's more like a meeting place for publishers and potential authors, and not really for selling books. And it also restricts your reach geographically. So I am a huge fan of online marketing, because that way there are no barriers. Anybody from any part of the world can buy your book. So I tell authors that make use of your audience if you already have one, even if it's a small email list of 1,000 people, it still matters. So make use of, first of all, your audience on your social media, on your email list. And then also please make use of other people's audience. So you could have worked with a lot of people in the past, you could have collaborated with other experts. This is the time to reach out to them and request them to share your book, request them to interview you on their show. Go on their YouTube channel and give a free session to their audience. So that way, you're giving away a lot of value for free, and people will get to know about you. And at the end of the session, just give them that one call to action to go and buy your book. So that really, really helps, because you're actually going to the right target audience for your book and giving them a lot of value. So I'm a huge believer in online marketing. So you could do both organic and paid. Organically, you could go on shows and talk about your book. Paid ads, there are Facebook ads as well, but my favorite would be Amazon ads, because somebody is actually coming to Amazon and searching for something that's relevant, that they're looking for, and your book shows up as one of the relevant searches. So that really has a high chance of getting converted into a sale. So these would be my recommendations.
Yeah, yeah. Well. As I say, marketing promotion is probably the highest percentage of what authors should be doing, and it's mainly the authors that should be doing it. The publishing, even traditional publishers, don't really put as much as people think they do they? Really?
That's true. So I have never worked directly with a traditional publishing house, but I have a lot of author friends who've tried both. And what I've heard from most of them is this: a traditional publishing house will have an X amount of money as their marketing budget for the month, and they want to allocate some amount of money for all the different book titles based on their prediction of how many books you're going to sell. But suppose they've allocated some dollars for your book, and the same week another big author has launched their book, and their book has a higher potential to sell. They're going to move their marketing budget and spend on the other author. So it's not going to really guarantee you anything unless you put yourself out there and market your book.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned about you can outsource to other people like a book coach, etc. What 5 people can improve the quality of your book?
Yeah, so we already discussed about two of them, your book coach,
Yeah.
your angel writer. There are a few others. Um, if you've kind of written the book, but you're not really sure of how good it is in terms of the content, a developmental editor can really do very well. I mean, you've already written it, so you don't need a writer probably, but you need a developmental editor to check the flow of the book, the how engaging is the content, and what can be restructured to make it better. That is something that I would recommend. The fourth person who can improve your book is your copy editor slash proofreader, because these are people who can improve the language of your book. Maybe the structure is now fixed, but there are small little things that can uh, improve the quality of your book, like replacing a particular word with another thing, restructuring a sentence, or just correcting that grammatical mistakes and the punctuation mistakes. That's the job of a proofreader and a copy editor. So they would do that. And the fifth important person that you should make use of are your beta readers. A lot of people don't do that. They immediately launch the book. But I think even if you have, like, let's say, 1,000 people on your email list, there would be 10 people who are seriously interested and willing to read your book before the launch. And these are your exact target readers, and they would love to be your beta readers. And their feedback can also be really, really valuable. So I think it's important to make use of these 5 people. You may not need all of them, but at least use some of them to improve the quality of your book.
Yeah. Well, how can an author make it to the Amazon's bestseller list, and how does it work?
For a lot of people who are not familiar with the publishing industry, it may look like a mystery, but it's pretty straightforward and simple. It's not like the New York Times bestseller charts where you really don't know what's happening, because their ranking is not only based on sales, whereas Amazon's ranking is completely based on the number of books you sell. The good thing about the Amazon bestseller charts is A, it's not just an overall chart. You have bestseller lists for every category and subcategory inside Amazon. So it's not just one list, there are multiple lists. And this list gets updated every 1 hour. So other charts are weekly charts, whereas Amazon charts is an hourly chart. So what happens is, if an author is even self-publishing their book, their chances of hitting the bestseller charts is very high if they just take care of a couple of things. One is they need to choose the right categories. You can't be in the most competitive category competing against a Tony Robbins and seeing, if you want to outbeat that book. You can be in slightly medium rank, moderately competitive categories and try to be number one inside that. So you need to write to Amazon and make sure that your book is listed under multiple categories which are relevant, but at the same time, not very competitive. And secondly, you need to send a lot of traffic to your book's page within a short span of time. Now, the timing is really the key here, because let's say you've sold 500 books in a month, but you end up actually selling, let's say, 400 books in a month, but most of the books are within the first week. Then the second option is better, because you're restricting your number of sales and you're like concentrating it within a short span of time. And that can help your book climb the charts, because Amazon is looking at your sale every 1 hour. Therefore, you need to like do all the marketing that you can possibly do within the first couple of weeks of your launch, so that lots of people go and check out your book and they buy your book. And for this, you can make use of both your existing followers, your audience, and other people's audience, reaching out to other influencers, asking them to tweet about your book. You can also reach out to a lot of promotional websites. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. But I think a combination of all these marketing efforts within a week's time can make a lot of people buy your book. And if it's in the relevant categories, it's going to hit the number one position. So that's how it works.
All right. Well, it sounds pretty straightforward. People probably think it is complicated, don't they? Really, because it's like, how do we do that? I suppose the same
It's
with TEDx.
actually Yeah, it's actually pretty simple, but it's not easy because there are so many moving parts. And that's why this is one of the services we offer at Happy Self Publishing, because I actually have videos explaining this to our clients, but they don't want to be doing it themselves because they would rather do other things that they want to spend their time and effort in doing, like going on podcasts and talking about the book rather than contacting promotional websites and changing the pricing and changing the categories, because that's a lot of labor intensive work, and they are happy to outsource it to us so that they have that guaranteed number one position.
Yeah, I suppose it's like me with this podcast. I could do a virtual assistant because my job is the podcast host really, and then you know
Right.
I'm also a producer and a marketing and salesperson, so promotion. So
Right.
I do need a virtual assistant maybe to help there. But yeah, well, you spoke about one of the services in your business, meaning the Amazon bestsellers list. So tell us more about your business and what you can do for authors.
Sure. Initially, when I started Happy Self Publishing 5 years ago, we would only do cover design and editing. But now we have a very holistic bunch of services. It depends on at what stage the author is at. So, if an author comes to us with a rough idea and nothing written on paper yet, then we offer them something called Impact Amplifier. And in this program, we all give them the option of either working with a book coach or an angel writer, so that in 3 months their book is written. And then we have a lot of services for publishing and marketing the book, including cover design, editing, formatting, the Amazon bestseller, podcast booking, and media outreach, and all of that. So that this is our like flagship program. And we also have authors who come to us with a written manuscript. Now, these people may not need a coach at this point of time because their book is already written. So we provide them with our publishing packages to ensure that the book is published well and it's marketed well.
Yeah, wow. Well, that's good. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you also have a book yourself. Tell us about your book.
I think that was the starting point for everything, Dave. When I got into self publishing, I would just hire writers and publish different titles every week. That is how I got started. I was not writing anything myself. I was just like you, I was scared of writing. And then 6 months later, once my books started giving me a lot of royalties, I got the courage to write my book myself. And back then, I thought the one thing that I did well was to quit my job and start a business. And I see a lot of people around me struggling to leave their job that they don't like. So I wrote Job Escape Plan. It's a 7-step method that anybody can use to quit a job that's not inspiring and start a side business and grow their business. So after I wrote that book, people started to notice my work. I started getting interviewed and featured and all of that. And that's when I felt that this is so much more fulfilling than just putting out books that was written by somebody else and that's not connected with me. And then that's when I started Happy Self Publishing, so that I can help real authors who have a message, using my team to help them to become published authors.
Great, great stuff. Well, please tell our audience where they can find your book and also find out more about the work you do in terms of helping authors.
Sure, Dave. So the book is available in Amazon. So just look for Job Escape Plan and you will find it. And to find out more about our work, if you're already ready to get started, you want to speak to a publishing consultant in my team, head over to happyselfpublishing.com and you can schedule a book strategy call with us. But if you're in the early stages and you want to learn more about book writing and publishing, then I have a boot camp for you. The next one will be coming up in the next couple of weeks. So it happens exclusively inside our Facebook group. It's called the Author Success Bootcamp. So just head over to happyselfpublishing.com/tribe. It'll take you to our Facebook group, join the group, and then you'll be notified as soon as we have the next bootcamp.
Wow, it's fantastic. Well, Jyotsna, it's been a very great pleasure you coming on the show and sharing some of this knowledge. Obviously, I learned a bit myself. I might take a look at your promotion bit and probably outsource some work there now that I know more about it. But yeah, no, I mean that's great advice for my listeners. What last tip would you give to any listeners thinking of you know um, taking on the challenge of writing a book or becoming an author?
Sure. I think one thing that I would say from my experience is please don't wait to really become the number one expert to write about any topic. If you've already reached whichever level you are at in life, in whichever area, I think there are always people who are a few steps behind us, and our book is just going to serve those people. So don't worry about all the gurus and the experts in your field. They are also doing a great job by serving a different audience. But you, at whatever stage you are, have the potential to become an author and serve the people who are just a few steps behind you. So go ahead and write your book and just make that as a part of your legacy.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Jyotsna, it's been a great pleasure speaking to you, and thanks for coming on my show and speaking to my audience today.
Thank you so much, Dave, for this opportunity. This was fun.